everyone, and welcome to another episode of Fund Hub Radio. Today we are joined by Jill from Main Elementary in Beaver Creek, Ohio. Welcome, Jill.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. We're so excited to talk to you today about Main Elementary and what makes them unique, as well as the success that you've had with Fund Hub and Get Moving fundraising. First, I just want to start off a little bit learning from you about Main Elementary, what kind of school it is, and maybe a little bit about like the enrollment, and then as well as your affiliation with Main Elementary and how you help and are involved with the fundraising there, okay?
Sure. We are in Beaver Creek, Ohio, which is a suburb of Dayton, Ohio. Okay. So we are a public school, and we have grades kindergarten through fifth grade, and we have about 710 students that go here.
Okay.
I am the current PTO president, and this is my second year doing that, but I have been on the board as vice president and treasurer. And my son is a fifth grader, so I have been on PTO for this is the sixth year, and I've done a lot of things and seen a lot of different board members, and we've had a lot of fun and really done a lot of things here. I'm also a staff member, so that's fun too.
Okay. Love that. You are very heavily involved. That's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the kind of people you need to have like a successful PTO parent group and, fundraiser. I'm sorry. So why don't you start off by telling me, you guys I know have been working with us for a few years. I want to say like at least 3 events I know you guys have had with or 2 going to be 3 next year events with us. How did you guys fundraise before you guys were using Get Moving, Fund Hub, and our online donation platform?
Well, what we did was each student had an envelope that we would send home where they would collect cash and checks, and we were using PayPal. We took about a 2-week donation period, and it was straight donation drive. We did not sell anything. And at the end of that time, we did an obstacle course like through our playground.
Okay.
And every student ran it, whether they fundraised or not. And it's been a really good model to jump off from, and really just using Fund Hub has just helped us to do even better with that structure that we already had in place.
Okay, yeah, great. And I think you were, I know that we had talked a little bit when we were coming up with your questionnaire for the podcast. I think you guys said that you were using like PayPal or envelope that you were sending home to collect cash. Was that right?
Yes, every student received an envelope, and we did use PayPal if it was not cash or check donation.
Got it. Okay, yep. So you were still doing like a thon style fundraiser. You were still collecting money via cash, but also online, just in a different way. And as far as it's always been kind of like that event style fundraiser, which is honestly great. Like we love that obviously too. That is our, business. But at the same time, I do talk to a lot of schools that are like, yeah, we used to sell wrapping paper and stuff like that. So that's nice that you guys are kind of coming from that, event style fundraiser in the past as well.
Yeah, we used to sell things, and we just found that, people are busy. They don't have time to participate and stuff like that. It was a lot of hassle, and we didn't have a really good turnout from those kind of events. And this is something that everybody can do a lot or a little of, and still everyone gets rewarded in the end. And it's just a fun time.
Absolutely. It is like definitely, if nothing else, it's more fun. That's for sure.
Yes.
It is still a lot of other things, but I mean, I think I've said this on a couple of other episodes too, but it's like having an experience is just something that like the kids are always going to remember, being able, whether it's an experience-based incentive or just having the experience of the event style fundraiser that when they're older in high school, they're gonna be like, yeah, that was like way cooler than selling these coupon books that we're selling in high school. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
So yeah, that's awesome. So what would you say prior to using Fund Hub were some challenges that you guys were facing as far as fundraising goes?
I think the biggest challenge was you never knew until the end how you were doing. There was no way to know in real time, so you couldn't do anything about it.
Right.
until you saw what the count was at the very end. Or you had parents or teachers asking questions because the kid said, oh, I think grandma donated. So then you had to go through and try to find the name and find the student. And it was just really a big hassle. And it took a lot of people to help go through all that information because it wasn't right there available for you.
Right. Absolutely. That totally makes sense. I know that like one of the major things that Fund Hub does like help provide to schools is that like reporting and like just being able to see like, okay, you want to know if grandma donated? I can tell you right now. You know what I mean? So that is for sure. I could see being a challenge if you didn't have like a donation platform of some kind, or even like tracking spreadsheets, things like that. It's just a little bit more difficult. So that makes sense. So now let's talk about some fun stuff. Tell us about your fundraising event. I know you kind of mentioned a little bit, you guys do like an obstacle course, but I want to hear about, I think you guys call it BeaverMAIN-ia. Is that right?
Yes, we do. Because
I love that. I want to hear all about BeaverMAIN-ia.
Yes, we're Main Elementary, and so we're the Beaver Creek Beavers. So we call it BeaverMAIN-ia, and this is our big event, and we do it in the fall. So we do it in September. We always give our fundraising envelopes out Labor Day weekend, and then we do it for a 2-week period because we found that any longer than that really doesn't make any difference. You're either going to donate or you're not. Right. So we still use 2 weeks to donate. And we keep the online platform open. And this was really a game changer for us because you can do so much. I every day would go on and I would check to see, you can see your school total. You can see each classroom's total. If there was a student that wanted to know how much do they have or did grandma donate, I can look through, pull up that student and say, no, I don't have anything from her. And then you can go back and help grandma figure out how to do it. Yeah. So I love, love, love all the tools that are available for you because they have reports that show you anything. You can type up by individual students. It will sort for you when you're handing out your prizes. Yes. You can mark off the ones that you've already handed out. They really have thought of a lot of everything that you would want. And that was what changed everything for us. And I can only say that it was helpful because I was going on every day and I would give a little nudge like, oh, Mrs. Smith's class is winning today. Or, we're only $300 away from our next goal, and it helped. We would put that out on social media or we would have announcements in the school day and the kids would get really excited. And each morning we would read who the winning classes were and you could hear them screaming in the hallways. One of our prizes is when they reached $100 goal, they got to participate in a pizza lunch where we take a limo bus and the kids go to the pizza place for lunch. That's really fun. Big thing here. And it's something that's like a tradition now. Yeah. And so every morning we would read the names of the kids that earned the $100 pizza limo lunch. So it was keeping it going. It was keeping it right in their minds, in their faces. I was posting to the parents on social media. So it was really helpful because you have the information in real time. You can see on a map what states are participating. We had other countries participating, and the teachers would set goals for their classrooms. Like if we have more than 10 states, I will give you a cupcake party. Right. So it really helped to have the information for the teachers. The teachers would pull up their classroom board every day and get the kids excited. So I love the tools. That was my favorite part. I love that. That's awesome. And I like how you were kind of also like emphasizing the healthy competition, because that is one of the number one ways that you're going to get that student participation. By promoting that, that's going to get them to like run home and be like, mom, I got to get the pizza party. I got to get in the limo, So those incentives are great. It's also kind of like what I was talking about earlier when we were talking about incentive or experience-based things. Experience-based incentives are another really great way to kind of like put that core memory in the student's mind, so that they know like, hey, if for next year, like if I didn't make the limo party, then next year I'm going to have like, make sure that mom helps me and things like that, because you said it's kind of like a tradition. So I love that. That's awesome. So,
What was your guys' donation goal? And then how much did you guys end up raising?
So this is our second year that we've used FundHub.
Okay.
So we said our goal was $40,000, and we made $62,305.
Wow, that is amazing. And I'm gonna go ahead and attribute a lot of that to number one, the healthy competition. Number two, the awesome prizes that you guys have.
Yes.
And then number three, just I can tell that you guys have like a really good community at Maine, just based on like, you know, everything you've said so far. Like it seems like, you know, everybody's working together in order to exceed that goal. Like that is outstanding. So great work on, you know, exceeding that goal. That is so awesome. So what do you guys, that's like a lot of money that you guys were able to raise. What do you guys spend the funds on? Like, how do you attribute those funds to different things that, you know, Maine needs for their budget?
Well, this represents our PTO budget for the year. So we were not trying to do any playground equipment or anything like that, but you could.
Right.
So
Every
our
school's
PTO
different.
here, yes. Our PTO here, we do things like, for example, we bought metal stools for the art room and the music room because
nice.
all of our students are in there. We bought things for the library because all of our students participate in that. We pay for field trips, assemblies, school clubs. Sometimes they need T-shirts. Teachers have classroom requests, and we do give each classroom teacher some money to buy things that goes directly back to the kids. Balls for the playground, indoor recess items when we can't go outside. Our PTO events, we helped pay for the cost of roller skating. We always have our spring carnival, movie night, playground party. So we really do make sure that we find ways that money is going directly back to the kids. And while we're fundraising, that was something that I made sure to post where the parents could see it, that this money is staying here at Maine. This is your money that you are giving to Maine, and it is going directly to the kids. It's not going to the district or anything else. This is your money.
Yep. And then they can kind of, you know, just send that along to like friends and family, because something that we find on FundHub, and it's another really cool feature. I'm not even sure like if most people know about this, but we have like a pie chart at the end where we show like where donations came from. And we find that like a lot, it's like they come from parents, they come from teachers, but a lot of it comes from being able to share those webpage and comes from friends and family. So by you communicating where that money is going to the parents, they're able to share that with the friends and family in their communities. So that way everybody knows like, hey, your dollars are going right back directly to help the kids at Maine. So that's just a really good thing, because, you know, you just never know when there's just donations for everything these days. You know, it's really good to know where your money's going and how it's being used. So that's awesome.
Yeah. And I think as a PTO, it's very important. I mean, for everybody, this is for everybody.
Yeah.
I always put out at the end of first semester and at the end of second semester, I make a big graphic image and I put it out on the classroom newsletters, on our social media, how your funds were used this semester. And I list everything down there so that the parents they know. I don't want anyone to have a bad taste in their mouth about where is this money going, because it's a lot of money, but we are using it and we're excited to have it for the kids. That's
super great that you're so transparent about that. I mean, you know, I think most people are, but it's just great that, you know, you even putting like that visual out there, like that's a really good idea that I think some of our viewers and listeners will take away from this podcast. So that's really, really good. So now I want to get into a little bit about like, what exactly is like this obstacle course? Like, is it like the actual day of event? You're like setting it up through the playground. I don't think I've done like an interview with anybody that's done an obstacle course. So I want to kind of hear about how you guys execute that. And then that way people can like, that might be interested in doing like an obstacle-a-thon might be able to like, you know, learn from you. So how do you guys do that?
Well, this is something that, I mean, it started out much smaller and we've just kind of built on it as we've gone through the years. So I definitely think this is something that anyone can do. You don't have to have everything that I'm going to say. But what we do is after we have closed the fundraising, so we usually do this like the following week on a Friday or something, we take all day. Each grade comes out as a grade level and they get 20 minutes or whatever to run the obstacle course. That's the same day that one of our rewards incentives was to slime the principal. So we did
another
that.
Experience.
Yes, we did that the same day. We got our class pictures because everybody was wearing their t-shirts of their grade level. We have different colors for each grade level. So they would come out, they would get their class picture. The kids that earned, if you raised $75, you got to dump a cup of slime on the principal. So they walked by and they slimed him. We had him in a baby pool. And he's a really good sport about it. And then after that was done, we had them come up and I got out a whole bunch of caution tape. We made it like, it's one way in a channel. We had hurdles, we had tires, we had hula hoops. I tied up the swings on the swing set and hung pool noodles for like a car wash thing.
Okay.
We had an easy up tent and we had bubble machines. So you'd run through the bubbles. We have some balance beams. We had a little maze that you would have to serpentine go through. We had some things where you had to jump over or duck under. We had a tunnel. And we've accumulated these things over the years. I made my poor husband build all these obstacles, and he has. So now we have them. Yeah. And actually, we got to share them with a couple other schools for their run too.
Cool.
So that was fun to be able to do that. And then as a grade level, we play music. We did hire a DJ this year since we made so much money, but you can totally do that on your own. I did it last year, and we let them run, and they just run the whole time. And then we blow the whistle. And I mean, the teachers run too. The principal was running when he wasn't getting the slime off, or the teachers are up there dancing, and we just cheer the kids on.
Yeah.
And, they run, they have a great time, and then at the end they get like a popsicle or Kona ice, and then we start with the next group. So we spent a whole day of it. Yeah. But every class comes out, and even if you did not fundraise at all, that is fine. You still get to do this. You still get to participate. You still get your popsicle and Kona and be part of the group and part of the school. So it was just a really fun thing to do that everybody gets to do.
Yeah, that's cool. And that's also like, I'm sure like some of those things, maybe like not all of them, but some of them are things that schools may already have, like hula hoops for gym or something, so just like learn, like maybe they're, like you said, like your first year might not be like the biggest, baddest obstacle course, but just using your resources and then learning from that and then improving it next year. I mean, so that's a really good, I love that. I've never heard that. That's awesome.
And it's really interesting because we are one of the schools where we're landlocked. We don't have big fields. Some of the schools do, and they run through the big areas. Okay. So we kind of had to do the best we can. And that's why we go through our playground equipment. But I caution tape it off so you can go one way. And, we've had the mounds of hay. Even if you have traffic cones, I'm sure your school has traffic cones. You can serpentine through the traffic cones.
Yep.
Or jump on the hula hoops. Or, yes, your gym class teacher will probably have things that you can borrow. You can make it work. And I think they like seeing each other do the obstacles, because I've been to some of the other schools where they go in the big field or they're farther apart and you can't really see. And I like that about here at Maine, that even though we're small, we are using all available space, but they are together with each other. And I think they really kind of feed off of each other and they have a good time.
That's amazing. So it sounds like not only did you have like a super successful event as far as money goes, but you guys also just have like a really awesome, fun event that I'm sure like if you're in kindergarten, you're like, sweet, I get to do this for 6 years. Like, that's awesome. Like that's so fun. I love that. So it's like it's a way to make fundraising cool and fun. I mean, fun runs and dance-a-thons, those are all fun too. But of course, like just, throwing something new into the mix is just another really cool idea. That's awesome.
Yes, it was fun.
So, Jill, we are getting towards the end here of the interview. So before we go, I just wanted to ask you one final question, and that's just your final thoughts, like given all of your fundraising success and, all of your experience doing like a thon style fundraisers, what would be like a piece of advice that you would give to another PTO or PTA member that may be watching this podcast that might be interested in switching from like a regular old school product-based fundraiser to an event style fundraiser?
I think the hardest thing to get over is everybody is scared to try something new. They're afraid of these programs that come in and they want to take so much of the profit. And I mean, yes, you do pay to use the platform, but you can have it set up so that when people are making donations, part of that goes towards what you owe to use it. So we didn't end up paying very much, like $2,000 of our 63 went back to you guys for using it because it was paid the rest of it. So I think that this is an awesome resource if you are going to keep on it every day and try to nudge and urge and keep the pot stirred.
Yeah.
If you're not able to do those things, maybe you won't benefit as much as somebody else would. But I think this is really something where you can add it even to maybe what you're already doing. If you're doing laps or any kind of obstacle course or fun runs or dance-a-thons, we really, we probably went overboard a little bit this year with our prizes and incentives. We had a lot to offer, and we had an extra assembly. I had a BMX stunt show come out.
Wow.
Now that was at the higher end, like if we make like 50,000.
Right. Well, your goal was 40, like you were never dreaming of 50, 60,
Exactly.
like you were not.
I even promised, and I had to do this because they did it.
Yeah.
A day where we rented like 7 inflatables, like a bouncy house, a couple obstacle courses, one of those soccer darts, just a whole bunch of inflatable things. And each grade had 45 minutes and they came out and got to play on it. And so it was inflatables day. And I had that, like the very final top one, and they did it. They blasted right back. So it did cost us money to do it, but we had stuff that is totally doable. And I mean, get with your teachers, get with your principal. There's something that you can do. We had, like animal print day, mismatch day. Those were like the lower ones. And we did those during the second week so that they got a reward immediately.
Right.
And we could still do that while they were fundraising. And then, like after certain levels, we did, Kona ice for the entire school. Yeah. So we did have some really, really big incentives at the higher end. And we had a giant thermometer poster, and I would color it in every day to make sure, and we would talk every day on announcements. And that would be my biggest advice to you is you need to promote this as much as you can. You need to stay on this every day. If you can't do every day, at least do every other day. Find somebody to do silly announcements over the loudspeaker at school. That's free. You can find, even if you don't have a lot of money in your budget to do some of these bigger things, you can find things that matter at your school.
Right.
It's
and
doable.
Right. And like you said, like you wouldn't have done those like bigger, badder things, like, more awesome incentives, but you did because like you couldn't believe how much money the school raised. So you're like, we got to treat them.
Right. I mean, they earned it. They legitimately did it.
Right.
So, and it was something, it looked really good on the thermometer. You're like, oh, if we make this, we're going to get that.
Yeah. You're like breaking the thermometer.
It never occurred to me that we would have it, because last year I didn't have enough prizes at the top because I never thought we were going to make that much. So I did have them this year, and we even blew past that.
It's so crazy.
So I just put woohoo at the top, and they're like, what do we get for woohoo? And I'm like,
you'll find out when it happens.
Right. So yeah, definitely. I mean, there are tons of ideas of things to do. There are resources to read on Fund Hub about like if you need prizes. And this is something I wanted to call attention to. And this is something that the coach, use your coach. I called Liz all the time, and I would say, I have a question. How do I search for this, or how do I find this? And she would help me. But there's a lot of information. If you don't have an idea, or you're not good at coming up with, well, what do I do for prizes? There are tons of things. You guys have your own little store. You can have prizes if that's what you choose. But there's a lot of information where you can read about what other people have done.
Yes.
The biggest thing I think that was a game changer for us, and I would encourage everyone to do this, find something small as a registration prize. Give it to them when they make their page, whether they fundraise or not. Everybody gets this. We got one of those little squishy mochi things.
Yep.
Everybody got it. Most people, if you're going to take the time to set up your page, you're going to share it.
Yep.
So people, even though maybe they didn't bring in $100 and go on the pizza lunch, but they brought in 25 or 30, because once you post it, sometimes people come out of the woodwork that you didn't even think were going to donate, and they saw you were doing this, so they will donate. It is worth it. Definitely do the incentive for just registering and making your page. And you don't have to be afraid. Parents are 100% in control of this. Your information is not going to anybody that you do not share it with. So
Yes.
you don't have to worry about predators and your kids' information being out there. And I think that maybe people have these fears because of other things in the past, but we have not had a single problem. And I did not feel pressured in any way when I was talking, when we were setting things up. I mean, there were times that they suggested something and I was like, I don't really think that's going to work here. And that was fine. This is, they're there to support you. This is your event. You need to do the work. But I have nothing but good things to say about our experiences.
We appreciate that so much. And I know that, the personal event coaches are great. They were in your shoes. I think almost every one of our personal event coaches, I think, except for one, because he came from like a different fundraising company, was a PTO parent or parent group parent. So that I think is super helpful. It's relatable. They were in your shoes at one point, and then they just found they like loved our product enough that they wanted to, work with us. So, I think that's a really good thing to highlight. You just highlighted like so many things just now. I'm like trying to remember them all, but like they are all in a tribute to your success. I love that you brought up the sharing. I actually was going to tell you when you said, you never know who will donate. I talked to a parent over the fall season and they were like, I was like, hey, like, I just wanted to reach out about this donation because, there was something wrong going on with it or something. And I was like, do you know these people? And she was like, yeah, that's like my old like college roommate that like I haven't spoken to in like 10 years. So it's like, you have no idea who like is going to donate. Like, you just got to share it. So I think that is a great highlight there as well. So Jill, with all of that said, I want to thank you so much for joining us today here on this episode of Fund Hub Radio. You've been absolutely amazing. Like, I barely even read off our questionnaire because, you were just talking it up and I was like, whoa, she's just going like prize after prize. It was awesome. So thank you so much for joining us. I want to thank your school for working with us. And I want to thank you on behalf of your school because I can tell that they're really, really lucky to have you at Main Elementary. So thank you so much again for joining us. And we will see you guys on the next episode of Fund Hub Radio. See ya.